creative tool any of us have.
And that's our own internal monologue, our inner speech.
Exactly. So for you, our learner, the mission today is pretty radical. We're looking at sources that claim the world around us. Our physical reality is basically a direct reflection, a freezing, as they put it, of our private, constant inner conversations.
Right. The goal is to figure out how to control that inner dialogue. The principle is, if you can control that, you can shape your reality.
And what's so fascinating is how this teaching seems to pull from these really ancient philosophical traditions, but then makes it incredibly practical.
It does. A lot of it is rooted in texts like the Hermetica.
Okay, let's pause there for a second. For anyone who hasn't heard of that, what exactly is the Hermetica? Why is it so important for this line of thinking?
The Hermetica is a collection of writings, Greco-Egyptian, from the first few centuries AD. And it's foundational here because it really establishes this idea of man's unique creative power.
Okay, so let's start right there with that core idea. According to one translation, God gave humanity two gifts, and only humanity.
Two gifts. And they are mind and speech.
And the way the source describes them is, well, it's monumental. It says that these gifts are essential and identical with immortality.
Mm-hmm. And if you use them the right way, it says man will not differ in any respect from the immortals.
So the ability to think and to, form words internally, that's literally the divine spark. It's what separates us.
Precisely. And if we accept that premise that our inner speech is this divine creative power, then you have to look at the world differently.
How so?
Because the sources are, they're very blunt about it. The world we see is just frozen inner speech. What you are habitually saying and feeling on the inside is what solidifies, what crystallizes around you as your life.
That phrase, frozen inner speech, is so good. It makes me think about, being at a party or some networking event.
Right.
Outwardly, you're all smiles. So glad to meet you. Let's do coffee. But the second they walk away, the real conversation starts inside your head.
What a bore. Or I hope I never see them again.
Exactly. And what this is saying is that the polite, fake stuff doesn't matter at all. The creative power, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, it's only listening to that brutally honest inner voice.
That inner speech is the true creative force. It's what's actually building your world, for better or worse.
That feels, it's powerful, but it's also a little intimidating. Does that mean every stray negative thought starts building something awful?
It's more about your habitual conversations. That's your nature. Think of that line from Ephesians, to put off the old nature which belongs to the former conversations and put on the new nature.
So your conversation is your nature.
It's equated with it. If you want a new reality, a new nature, you have to literally start a new inner conversation.
Okay, so if our inner talk is the blueprint, how do we actually start, managing it? This gets us to what the sources call the law of order.
And this is where it shifts from philosophy to a very specific hands-on practice. The main rule comes from Psalm 50. If a man orders his conversations aright, I will show him the salvation of God.
Ordering conversations aright. Okay, what does that actually mean? It sounds like more than just positive thinking.
Oh, it's much more than that. The practice is about constant monitoring of that inner voice and then actively making it conform to the feeling of the wish fulfilled.
The wish fulfilled. That's the key phrase, isn't it?
It is. And it's not hoping, it's not wanting, it's the feeling of it being done. Mm-hmm. The quiet certainty. You're speaking from the end result, not just talking about it.
That distinction is everything. Speaking from it, not of it. And this isn't just theory. The sources give these incredible anecdotes of people who really applied this. Let's start with Robert Millikan.
Right, Millikan, the famous physicist, head of Caltech. He started out really poor, but he understood this principle.
And he didn't just say, I want to be rich. He constructed a very specific sentence, a script.
He did. His sentence was, I have a lavish, steady, dependable income, consistent with integrity and mutual benefit. Notice how detailed that is.
Lavish, steady, dependable, and with integrity.
Exactly. He started from scratch with just that inner conversation.
And the result? He died a wealthy man and left a fortune to charity. He literally manifested every single part of that sentence.
It's an amazing story. And it highlights the persistence required, which you see that even more in the story of the speaker's brother, Victor Goddard.
Right. Victor Goddard wanted to own a specific, very large building. And he had, no money?
No money, no collateral. From the outside, it was a completely impossible goal.
So what did he do?
Every time he passed the building, he would mentally see his own name on the sign. He would just repeat over and over, it is my building.
And he did this for 2 years.
2 years. with zero outside encouragement. His mother apparently thought he was delusional.
I can imagine 2 years of just this
Yeah.
this inner discipline.
And then, after 2 years, the world rearranged itself to match his conviction. The owners went bankrupt, a total stranger appeared, and put up the collateral.
And he acquired the building for $50,000 of someone else's money?
Yes, and later sold it for $840,000. The entire thing attributed to nothing but that persistent inner speech.
That is just, it's such a concrete example. And there's a small observation in the source that I found fascinating about how physical this all is.
The man on the bus.
Yeah. Even when we read silently, many of us are still forming the words with our lips or in our throat. It's a physical act.
It is. It just underscores how deeply ingrained this process of speech is. You are always speaking, whether a sound comes out or not.
Okay, so we have the principle, we have the technique, we have these incredible examples. So if it's this simple, why isn't everybody doing it?
And that is the central challenge. This brings us to the difficulty of practice. It's that classic line from Shakespeare.
Portia. If to do were as easy as to know what we're good to do, chapels had been churches and poor men's cottages, princes' palaces.
Exactly. Knowing the law is easy. Consistently practicing it against a lifetime of bad mental habits, that's the real work.
And it seems like a big part of the trap is self-sabotage. There's a revelation the speaker's wife had that just cuts right to the chase.
Stop spending your thoughts, your time, and your money. Everything in life must be an investment.
Is spending versus investing.
It's a brilliant distinction. To spend is to just throw it away with no expectation of a return. You spend time worrying. You spend thoughts on anger.
But to invest is to put your resources, your thoughts, your speech out there with the clear expectation of a return on that equity.
Right. Your thoughts are capital, and they must be invested wisely.
But here's the kicker, the real human part of the story. The woman who had this huge revelation.
She later admitted she never practiced it. She just went on having the same old conversations.
It's such a humbling reminder. Insight without action is, well, it's useless.
And it shows how much we need immediate course correction. The moment you catch yourself in a negative inner conversation, arguing, criticizing, you have to be ruthless. You have to stop it right there.
The speaker gives that personal example of arguing in his head with his brother, who was thousands of miles away.
Yes, that mental argument is an investment in conflict. He had to consciously tear up that mental record.
And replace it. He started having a loving internal conversation with his brother instead.
And the result wasn't just feeling better. An actual large unexpected check arrived. The physical ledger changed because the mental ledger changed first.
And the source points to self-justification, that need to be right, as the main thing that stops us. It calls it an almost incurable disease of man.
The voice of hell. Because we'd rather be right and miserable than give up the argument and be fulfilled.
And that ties back to a core idea from Isaiah that beside me there is no God.
Exactly. If your world is your inner speech pushed out, then you're never really arguing with your brother or your boss or anyone.
You're arguing with yourself.
Always. And that inner conflict just manifests as outer conflict.
Okay, so if the world is just a mirror, let's talk about the end game. Getting buildings and money is great, but the sources call that the loaves and fish. What's the ultimate promise here?
The ultimate end is spiritual. It's what the sources call the salvation of God, which means awakening as God, as the creator, yourself. The whole law, the whole technique is really just a tool to lead you to that realization.
And the sources say that when that awakening happens, it doesn't bring peace, at least not at first. It brings a sword.
It brings separation, yes.
Yeah.
And that conflict is a necessary part of the process. It's a signpost.
Why? What happens?
Your former followers, the people who were only interested in material results, the loaves and fish, they turn on you. They'll say you've gone mad, that you have a devil.
So it's not really a religious war. It's more like you outgrow your old self, and the people attached to that old self can't come with you. It's about separating the sheep from the goats.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's a transition from a God of tradition to a God of experience. And the awakened person doesn't see them with anger, but with pity, knowing the separation had to happen.
And this brings us full circle right back to the very practical technique, especially at the end of the day.
Yes, the absolute necessity of controlling your inner conversation right up until you fall asleep. Let not the sun descend upon your anger.
Because that last thought you hold on to.
That's what dominates your subconscious, your dream life. And that sets the pattern for what manifests next. You have to resolve the conversation internally and fall asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled.
So to wrap up our deep dive, The power that's been invested in you, the listener, is just immense. It's mind and speech. And your entire world is an inflection of how you use or misuse that gift.
And remember that central radical idea: beside me, there is no God. Your world is your own inner speech pushed out, which means you are the one demanding everything from yourself: prosperity, poverty, joy, conflict. It all starts with your internal conversation.
The challenge is to stop spending thoughts and start investing them. So here's a final thought for you to take with you. Since you are always talking to yourself, what one single sentence would imply that you are now the person you want to be? What would that sentence be?
And then the challenge is to commit to that one conversation, to invest every thought, every moment in that reality.
If you look at your world right now, at what has manifested around you, what are you demanding from yourself today?